Hi, Kristen here with Wild Souls Yoga. Welcome to my home studio. This is a yin practice for your hips. So if you have never done yin yoga before, welcome, you're in the right spot. Yin yoga is a low to the ground practice that is designed to access deeper levels of the connective tissues and joints of the body. We hold poses for extended periods of time. So traditionally for 3 to 5 minutes. That also depends on the pose. But for the most part, 3 to 5 minutes. So let's get started. We're going to start on a seat with our legs stretched out in front of us. Now, if you have a couple of yoga props with you, one of my favorite uses of the prop is to bring a folded blanket just under the edge of the pelvis. You'll see it brings that lumbar curve into my spine. It's a great prop for this practice. And then we lengthen the heels forward, flexing the toes up towards the sky, taking our gaze up. So that when we lift the gaze, it naturally lifts the spine, the heart, the chest. Then reach your arms upward. And then start to hinge forward. Any amount. You'll know when your body has had it's enough. Then you're going to drop the arms and start to tip your gaze down. Now we can support this pose. So some options. If you have yoga blocks, you can bring 1 or 2 blocks. So if I have 1 block, I'm going to probably stack it on my knees or my thighs or shins. If I have 2, I can bring them on either side of my legs and use them as armrests. If I have 2, I can also stack them and place my forehead down. If you have a bolster or maybe a couch pillow, you can take 2 blocks and your bolster and stack it and create a shelf. And then we're going to relax the neck. So we are going to hold this pose, sit in this pose for 3 minutes. And this pose targets the backside of the body. You might feel this in the hamstrings. You might feel this in the backs of the hips, in the low back. And the practice of yin is really this practice of sitting in the energy of the pose. We sit in the pose. And that can be challenging mentally, it can be challenging physically. But there's this beautiful practice of awareness that develops when we press pause on life and we sit in this shape. We might notice things about the body that we hadn't noticed before or haven't noticed since the last time we did yoga. So I invite you to deepen your breath, perhaps even explore how the breath travels in your body. Do you feel the breath more on the right side or on the left side? Do you feel the breath more in the chest or the belly? And because you are in this shape, does the breath feel restricted because of the shape? And these are all just questions to observe. Yin is a practice of observation. And I will leave you in just a little bit of silence. We have about 60 seconds left. very mindfully begin to come up and out of this forward fold. Taking it slow and listening to your body and how your body feels best in its movement out. If you used any props, go ahead and place them off to the side. And then bring your hands behind you. You're going to lean back on the hands, the palms of the hands, and then bend your knees. And gently drop the knees to the right and to the left. And then coming back into this staff pose again. Staff pose, legs out in front of us. Coming into shoelace pose. Shoelace pose. So bend the right knee and cross the right leg over the left leg. So this is half shoelace pose. You can stay here. This is beautiful. If you need a little extra support, you can slide your folded yoga blanket or pillow underneath your tush. To take this into a deeper variation, if you choose, you're going to lean to the left and bend your left knee. And the idea here is that we are stacking the right knee on top of the left. We're moving them in towards the midline. They might not sit in that exact lineup, but that's what we're striving for, headed for in the pose. Now we're going to stay seated very tall for 60 seconds and just allow yourself to sit deep in this hip stretch. Notice what you feel. Notice where you are clenching. And then can you, after you notice, can you relax? Can you find ease in the pose? And this is a practice all on its own. So I invite you to close your eyes. This brings our awareness inward. Just notice where you're holding tension. Notice where you're holding tension. Sometimes it's the area that's targeted in the pose. So in this case, maybe the hips. But other times we hold tension in parts of the body that are really not involved. For example, the forehead or the jaw or the shoulders. So notice where the tension is hiding. And with mindfulness, with awareness, we just encourage that release. Deepen your breath. And if it feels okay in your body today, you're going to hinge forward into a fold. And you can bring your hands down to the floor. You can also add any props to support your body. Keep the back of the neck lengthened. So maybe you just tip the chin down a bit. Can you soften the shoulder blades away from the ears? Can you relax any muscular tension in the arms? Can you soften deeper into the right hip or the left hip? Last 2 breaths. Slowly, if you were in a fold, sit up. Let's unwind the legs. We'll bring the legs out in front of us, bending the knees, leaning back on the hands, and again, windshield wipering the knees right to left. And we'll switch sides. So start again with the legs out in front of you for staff pose. And then we'll bend the left knee, bringing the foot to the floor, and cross the left foot over the right leg. You can stay here, half shoelace pose, or lean to the right, bending the left knee. And then again, as a reminder, if you think about the knees, it's hard to see because I'm wearing all black, but we're trying to get the knees to stack. in alignment. It doesn't mean that happens today or ever, but that's the mechanics. We're drawing the thighs in towards the midline. And we start for time sitting upright, allowing ourselves to come into the pose. And that doesn't mean just physically, that means showing up emotionally, mentally, energetically. The mind has a tendency to wander, especially in times of discomfort. So when we say arrive to the pose, we mean to come in, to welcome sensation, to welcome discomfort and sit with it. And that is a practice all on its own. Bring awareness to your breath. Then if you choose to take this into a little bit of a deeper variation, start to fold forward. And as a reminder, lengthen the back of the neck so let the chin drop down. Soften the shoulder blades. Soften the arms. Soften into the right hip and the left hip. Allow yourself to breathe. Soften the jaw, the muscles of your forehead, your cheeks. You have about 2 more breaths. Slowly, if you are folded, sit up. Let's unwind the legs. The legs come back out in front of us, sitting up nice and tall. Close your eyes and take a full breath in, full breath out. And then lean back on the hands. Bend your knees, bringing your feet to the floor. The feet are wider than the hips here. Drop your knees to the right and drop the knees all the way to the right so that now you're just mostly sitting on the right hip. And the knees are both bent at 90 degrees here. And you can sit on a folded blanket or a yoga bolster or a meditation cushion to lift the floor up to your hips. And we'll stay upright for 60 seconds. Now you might notice increased sensation in the left hip. You can also lean to the right to take pressure out of that hip. We always can adjust the pose. This is a deep hip opener. So again, you might experience sensation. Part of the practice is inviting ourselves into awareness, into presence, sitting with the sensation. We might notice that after a few moments in the pose, a few breaths in the pose, the sensation might start to subside, or the sensation might be more a message of, hey, you've gone a little too deep, you need to adjust. We are our own best teachers. We know our bodies better than anyone else. So listen to the wisdom of your body as you practice. Now I invite you, you can stay upright or you can start to fold forward. You can, if you choose, use blocks or a bolster to bring the floor underneath your elbows or underneath your forehead, depending on how deep you choose to fold. For the next 40 seconds, I invite you into the rhythm of your breath. Deepen the breath. Let the breath be a mechanism for softening the body, Softening the mind. Slowly come up. Bring your hands behind you and then bring the knees up and then drop the knees over to the left. So again, the knees are bent at 90 degrees, both of the knees. Sitting up tall, and again, if this right hip is talking, you can lean a little bit to the left to take some of the sensation out. You can sit more upright to increase sensation. There's always a way to go further in or to pull back a little bit. And discernment, knowing when to do which, is very important in the practice. Again, I invite you to close your eyes. Notice the expansion of the ribs on the in-breath, the contraction of the ribs on the out-breath. Maybe noticing the relaxation in the body as you breathe deeper. And you can choose to stay upright, or you can choose to fold forward. We're here for 60 seconds. For 60 seconds, your job is to breathe, to soften and to breathe. If you're folded, slowly come up. Hands behind you as you bring the knees up, feet to the floor. From here, stretch your feet out wide. In yin, this pose is called Dragonfly pose. And I am sitting on the edge of that folded blanket. That is my favorite prop here. And we just start upright. You'll probably already feel sensation. And we can feel sensation in various places. Depends on how we carry stress, tension, tightness. Depends on the habits that we have outside of our yoga practice. If we sit a lot, if we don't, if we walk a lot, if we don't, if we run, etc. So there's no wrong way to experience the ways tension shows up in our body. Just notice and love all of it. Okay? But then the more that we engage the deeper breathing patterns, that's really powerful in the yoga practice. Because it's a signal to the nervous system. So when we put ourselves in the shape, we experience sensation. We might experience maybe even a little bit of stress of the ego wanting to come out of the pose. But when we ignite a deeper breath, it's like a switch for the nervous system. And the switch is a signal that it's okay to relax, to release, to find new patterns of the way we carry ourselves. So now I invite you, if you choose, to come into more of a folded version of this. So you can stay just as you are. This is fine. or you can start to hinge forward. And the hands are great props here. The hands can hold you up, or blocks are great. So again, the blocks have 3 different levels: the low, the medium, the high. So you can find the appropriate level, and you can use the blocks to support the forearms, or you can also add a level with your yoga bolster, creating that shelf. So we are here for a few minutes. So I invite you into surrender, letting go, softening. Maybe you notice that there's tension in the ankles or the toes, and maybe you can start to let it go. Maybe you notice there's more tension in the shoulders, and you can relax the shoulder blades. Perhaps you realize you've been holding the breath. You start to breathe more consciously. Now that you have been in this pose for a few breaths, is there anywhere else you could invite softness? Is there anywhere else in the body you could invite a sense of ease? Or even expansion? So maybe you explore creating expansion with deepening the breath. Or lifting the collarbones ever so slightly and lengthening them forward. Or creating expansion in the area between the shoulder blades and the ears by relaxing the shoulder blades down the back side of your body. Maybe you create expansion in the space between the eyebrows. Last 30 seconds. Time's up. Slowly come back upright. If you used any props, move them off to the side. And as you come out of your dragonfly pose, perhaps there's movements that feel intuitive in the body. So as you come out, just listen to how the body wants to move. There's not really a right or wrong way to transition out of a pose in yin. So just listen to the body. And then from here, we're going to come down to our back. And once you arrive on your back, start with the knees bent, feet to the floor, hands come to the belly, to the rib cage, the low ribs. Relax your shoulders, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists. Close your eyes. And tune into breath sensation. Allow yourself to sink a little deeper into the floor. allowing the body to get heavier with each out breath. Our next pose is Shavasana. So extending the legs out long. The feet are wider than the hips and the toes relax. They splay out to the sides. The hands can stay as they are, or you can straighten the elbows. The palms can be up or down. Now, if your low back ever hurts in Shavasana, you can bend the knees, bring the feet back to the floor. This is the option. In Shavasana, we let everything go. We let the arms be heavy, the legs be heavy. The lips are sealed. We breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. With each in-breath, create that sense of expansion through the whole body, a sense of lightness through the whole body. With each out-breath, allow the body to get heavier and heavier. I invite you to stay in Shavasana for as long as you need. This is a great pose to practice for 5 minutes or longer. In our modern society, we sometimes convince ourselves that we do not have time for rest, for relaxation, for rejuvenation. Yoga teaches us something entirely differently. Shavasana is the most important pose, and some yogis say the hardest pose to practice because it is so hard for us to sometimes stay, to sometimes surrender to the act of rest. So today I invite you into this practice.